Hey everyone, it's Mxiety, Twitch partner and mental health talk show host, here for another episode of Streamloots Mental Health, where the idea is you can take care of your mental health and that will ultimately make you a better content creator, thus making you more independent and being able to provide for yourself as a streamer. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about numbers, how to feel less anxious when you look at them, and how to decouple your value from them. What does that mean? Stick around and find out. All right, so first things first, why? Why Mxiety? Why do I do this? Why do I care about my numbers so much? Well, it's pretty obvious and it's totally okay. Sponsorships, streaming opportunities, partnership, affiliateship, those all come attached to numbers. Where you are on Twitter and how much people pay attention to you, as much as we don't want to admit it, that's all connected to numbers. And so it's really easy for us to do the ultimate terrible thing that is our ultimate downfall, which is connecting our value to those numbers. So first things first, and this is going to be the most important thing, we need to separate our value as creators, as people, away from numbers. And that's the hardest thing. When you equate, oh, I have 5 viewers, therefore I must be this kind of person, versus somebody who has 75 viewers must be this kind of person, not only are you're creating a false equivalency, but you're also not doing yourself the justice, or your viewers, or those in your community who consistently come back. It's just making this false idea that X amount of followers or X amount of viewers equals this kind of person, and that's just not true. So the first thing that we need to do is separate us away from that value set. And how do we do that? Well, we need to create things outside of streaming that are important to us. Listen, I have a 9 to 5 and I stream and I make videos for Streamloots, and I still try to find time to do something for myself, whether that is taking a bath, or the fact that I'm a dog mom, or the fact that I'm also a wife. All of those things are also something that makes me me outside of whatever numbers that I might get. So the first way to decouple that is depersonalizing the idea that a number equals you. You are so many things other than a number in somebody's watch. And if somebody values you only for the number that you can bring, do you really want to be working with them? Most companies that I have worked with talk about the fact that, yes, numbers are great, but if you don't have the community or engagement to back up those numbers, no matter what you do, you're not going to look the best to those companies. Ultimately, they want your viewership and engagement to promote their product. So if all you have is the ability to say 100 people have followed me, but no community to back it up, then that's not really great for those sponsorship opportunities and partnerships and all of that other stuff. So that brings me to my next point, focusing away from numbers and focusing on the content instead. So instead of looking and seeing, I had 10 viewers at that point and then they all left and I suck and all those things that are mean and about us, take yourself out of the equation. You had 10 people when you were talking about something. Maybe that something is something that you can expand on. Can you talk more about that? That seems to be interesting to people. So if you are looking at your numbers, look at them for the value behind them, meaning what can you derive from a certain number at a certain time. Now, don't forget, those are not even equal all the time either. I can be talking about the most interesting topic, but if that's the day that there's an election or something is going on, people aren't going to show up. If there's a big Overwatch match or something, do people still watch Overwatch? They're not going to show up, or they might come and they might leave immediately because their dog had an accident in the house. You can't control a lot of things, and so making sure that you don't pay attention to those tiny minutia of numbers is probably the way to go. And that brings me to my next point. Instead of looking at your numbers on a day-to-day basis, it might be healthier to focus on your numbers on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. Now, why is that? Most sponsorships and other partnership companies are probably going to be looking at you in that way as well. They're not going to look at your recent streams, see that you were rated by somebody really big, and then assume that the rest of your content is like that. They're going to look at your content over time, how it's grown, how it's doing. Even partnership applications at Twitch, that's something that they'll also consider. So consider the fact that you want to be looking at the bigger picture of how your stream is doing month over month. And it's probably going to give you a better idea of how your community is doing. If there's no growth month after month, it might be time to change your strategy and change things up. The next thing is, are you looking at your numbers so that you can compare yourself to somebody else? Well, we're gonna have a whole separate episode on comparison, but don't forget that comparing yourself to somebody else does not do justice to you and what you're bringing to the table. So you could have somebody with 100 viewers that isn't bringing the same content that you are. Like, that's great, but they're talking about politics. They're not playing Rocket League. And so it's two totally different things, and that is something definitely to consider, especially because comparison is so big in this industry. Yeah, we're definitely gonna come back to that. So what do I recommend? First and foremost, I really do recommend you turning off those numbers. If you're super curious, give yourself time markers at which you can check them. So maybe once an hour you can check your number and then close it, because watching it tick up and tick down can often be super stressful, even though you mean for it to be better. You want to promote yourself when this many viewers are in your stream, and you want to focus on gameplay when this many people are watching. I totally get it, but if you know that numbers stress you out, it might be better to turn them off. Especially, and this was a tip from the industry to me, when you're starting out, having those numbers on does not serve you as well as focusing on your community. Because the truth is, if you're starting out, you're not going to have good numbers unless you just shoot up to stardom, which not a lot of people do. But because you're not going to have those good numbers, you need to create value in order for people to come back, and then that will affect your numbers and make them higher. The other reason I say turn off your numbers is because really, usually you want to put on a good show no matter if 5 people or 10,000 are watching you, right? And those 5 people deserve a good show as much as those 10,000 people. So making sure that you're providing good content no matter the numbers is something else that you can focus on. So creating something, focusing on the thing that you're making and making that better. How do I do that? Well, I have a philosophy. I need to do something to better my stream at least once a week. Some people say once a day, and if you have the time, that's great, but once a week doing something that can improve your stream. So maybe that's adding a Streamloots card, or maybe that is creating a topic of the day, or maybe that is changing something about your layout or something about your alerts to make them more fun. Whatever it is, try to improve one thing about your stream that makes it interesting for people to return and see something new. And look, I am going to conclude by saying, yes, it is super important to look at numbers because you want to make sure you're providing a good show, but just consider how often you're doing it and what the purpose is. Are you doing it as a way to confirm your own bias that, look, I'm bad and my numbers are bad and therefore I'm bad? If you're trying to do it to confirm your own bias, it might be time to step back. If you're trying to do it to improve your content, well, there's always room for improvement. That's wonderful. But focusing on the reason why you are creating that content, focusing on your intrinsic value will help you also push away from feeling like your value is in those numbers. So my intrinsic value is, I believe that the world would be a better place if more people talked about mental health. Find what yours is. That's the thing that keeps me pressing the go live button. That's the thing that keeps me coming back if I had 2 people watching or I had 10,000 people watching. No matter what it is, seeing that specific thing is what keeps me going. And it's completely internal to me and has nothing to do with anybody else. So once again, the whole idea is, let's turn away numbers equals value. Let's just stop that right in its tracks and create instead numbers equals a way for me to measure the success of the stream. Not me, but the success of the stream. I hope this helps, and please let me know if you would rather me talk about something else or add something or let you know whatever it is in the comments below. I'm very happy to continue talking to you. So please, and do the subscribe and the like and everything, because we're going to be making more and more of these videos, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. I just hinted at the comparison video, so maybe that's coming up at some point, right? All right, I will see you soon, and in the meantime, don't forget, be the light. Bye. Thank you.